When you're standing in the kitchen, wondering whether to upgrade your old stove or just keep the trusty workhorse you've had for years, the decision can feel like walking a tightrope. You want something that actually makes cooking easier, not just a pretty piece of metal that sits there gathering dust. That's why today I'm breaking down a specific dual-fuel range that's been generating a lot of buzz in the forums and why it might or might not be the right fit for you. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of kitchen this appliance lives in. A freestanding French door range is usually the centerpiece of a serious home cooking setup, the sort of place where you're rotating pans, searing steaks, and baking loaves on a regular schedule. The Forno Galiano brings a distinctive black and antique brass finish that leans more toward a high-end design aesthetic than a utilitarian one. If your kitchen decor already leans modern industrial or you want a statement piece that stands out, the look will probably feel like a win. If you have a more subdued or classic look, that glossy contrast might clash. Now, the dual-fuel part is where the practical side starts to show. The gas cooktop gives you instant heat response, which is a real advantage when you need that rapid temperature change for things like a quick stir-fry or a high-heat sear. The 5 burners are spread out, giving you room to juggle multiple pots. One of those burners is a 20000 BTU Dual-Ring, which is essentially a built-in wok burner. For anyone who actually uses a wok or needs a dedicated high-heat zone for things like caramelizing onions, that extra power can cut cooking time noticeably. On the flip side, if you mostly simmer sauces or reheat leftovers, you might never touch that biggest burner, and it becomes a bit of an unused luxury. The oven is where the true convection claim comes into play. In practice, true convection means the fan and an additional heating element work together to keep temperature consistent throughout the cavity. For home bakers who've struggled with hot spots, say a batch of cookies turning golden on one side and pale on the other, that technology can be a real time saver. I've heard from a few dedicated bakers that the evenness makes multi-rack baking far less of a guessing game. However, true convection ovens also tend to dry out delicate items faster if you're not paying attention, so you'll need to adjust cooking times a notch lower than you would with a conventional oven. Installation is another hidden cost that people often overlook. The range comes with the necessary accessories, but because it's a dual-fuel unit, you'll need both a gas line and a proper electrical hookup for the oven. If you already have a compatible setup, the installation can be straightforward. A qualified technician can have it running within a few hours. If you're moving into a place that only has electric hookups, you'll need to run a gas line, which can add several $100s to the total cost. That upfront investment is something to weigh against the performance gains you'll actually use. Who should walk away from this purchase? If you're a home chef who regularly uses the stovetop for high-heat techniques, think searing, stir-frying, or making pan sauces, and you also bake a few times a week, the combination of a responsive gas cooktop and a true convection oven makes a lot of sense. The range size 30 inches fits standard kitchen counters, so you won't need to redesign your layout. On the other hand, if your cooking style is mostly low and slow, like simmering stews or reheating pre-made meals, the extra burner power and convection technology may feel like paying for features you never touch. In that case, a single-fuel electric range with a simpler oven could deliver comparable results for less money. Let's talk durability and maintenance, because those are the things that turn a good purchase into a great one over time. The stainless steel interior of the oven is easy to wipe down, and the French doors open wide enough to give you clear visibility without having to crane your neck. The burners are sealed, which helps prevent food debris from building up in the ports, a common annoyance with older gas tops. The downside is that the black enamel finish, while striking, can show fingerprints and smudges more readily than matte finishes. You'll probably end up giving it a quick wipe after every cooking session if you like it to stay pristine. Energy consumption is another practical consideration. Dual-fuel units tend to be more efficient on the stovetop side because gas heats instantly, but the electric oven will still draw a decent amount of power, especially when you're using the true convection mode. If you're mindful of your electricity bill, you might find yourself using the oven less often and relying on the stovetop for quick meals. That's not a flaw per se, just a habit shift you'll have to decide if you're comfortable with. One thing that can be easy to overlook is the ergonomics of